Hello and welcome. This video will be that of buying low, selling high, as I will explain my trading system, which I think can be used with virtually almost every single code that there is. This really works well with like anything you want to go along with something you think is going to go higher. But what's most important is that it's going to have a lot of up and down wild swings. So the choppier, the better. And I'm not using the best, choppiest code I could find, just a run-of-the-mill code like library credits, LBC. And I'm going to be going back to February, explaining basically what I'd be doing. So back in here, in the early February time frames, and I'm going to use the hourly chart, and I'm going to go through a whole bunch of orders one by one by one. As you want to get into something, you really just got to buy some, just buy. Here's the spot. We'll state February the 18th. The price action's at 21.77. So to buy 11,000 of them and paying 0.25% rate would cost a little over a quarter of a Bitcoin. But then what I want to do is I don't know why I got March the 1st. Game has just begun with library credits. This doesn't look like this is March the 1st. I think this is fit, but either way, the date's not important. So I put some buy orders in because I think it can go lower, or you're just always going to be buying when the price goes down and selling when the price goes higher. So I'll put some buy orders in. I've already bought 11,000, but I don't want to buy quite as much. I just want to make sure I have a decent portion. Now, every time it goes lower, I'm going to want to buy a bit more because the value of them aren't as big as they were before. You can basically buy more than you could before. And for these examples, I'm just going to be using the prices where if I buy, I'm going to do a shade over 1. And if I'm selling, I'm going to be selling around 99. So the next thing that's going to come in can only be one of two things. That would be a buy order at 2001 or a sell order close to 23.99. And it was a buy order. Now, I didn't need to add any new ones because I've already put a bunch of other ones in. The next transaction was price going down again. So I've got my coin size from 11 to 18,000. And I've added a new order in to buy 6,500 at 12.51. And I'm going to sell 2,500 of them at 20.99 or around the 2,100 handle. But it keeps going down. So another 5,000 gets hit, 1,501. I put a new buy order in, put a new sell order in again, 23,000 net tokens. But the market starts to rally a little bit. Price action goes up, and I put a sell order, or my sell order gets activated for about 1,800. I can then put a buy order in, 14.51, which basically represents previous low. And I got in here priv low, and I say code language, previous low, previous high. Often areas that I look at for key points. And that's exactly where it does go back to, is the previous low. So you buy there. And then a new sell order comes in, 2,800 of them, at 18.99. So I'm basically buying 3,000. I'm selling. Yes, it depends on how you want to do this. Maybe you want to sell 2,500. Maybe you want to sell them all. I like to sell less than what I buy and then hold the other ones to sell at a higher price. But then we can see here you get these huge market gains. This thing cats up to close to 2,300. So I get the 1,900 and the 2,100 sell orders come in. And oftentimes you can see, depending on how close they are together, you can get multiple orders come in all at one time. And maybe you can put like, you don't have to have like these amount, you can have like dozens of different orders too if you want to play at a more aggressive level. But this is just using a more simple method. 2,600 buy order come in. I put a buy order in to buy 2,600 at 1,700 and 3,000 at 15. So before, if I sold at 2,800 at 1,900, I'm going to buy back at 15. So I'm going to buy 200 more than I did before. In this case, I was buying 100 more on the 25. But the markets keep going higher. Sell order hit at 23.99, and new buy order put in, new sell order put in again, continuing going. 4 sell orders in a row as another sell order would get hit at 29.99. You put a new buy order in, put a new sell order in, and a 5th straight one as we go into mid-March. As the sell order came in at 3,500, so let's try to buy 2,500 more at 26. These markets are just going way up. You know, they go up, they go down, they go up, they go down. And here's a situation where the market goes back down, 2,600. It goes down to. Of course, it came down to 2,500 as well. And new sell order you put in, 34.99. That's back to where this previous high was. And here's a situation in which a buy order gets hit at 23. Put a sell order in at 29. Enter the spring solstice. Sell order gets hit at 3,000. So now you can try to buy that back cheaper. And you did. And here's a situation in which sometimes you want to delete or change things. I deleted the sell order of 34.99. As we can see, didn't get it. See, a couple times it came close, but it topped at 3,400. So you have a sell order or you have a buy order. Sometimes it'll come close to where you get in, but you don't get it. And that's just part of the game. Part of the game. And well, how I adjust to the message of the market is I'd rather sell a bit before the high or buy just a little above the low. And I definitely don't want to sell a little pierce above. So it's basically just switching the orders from 34.99 to 33.99. However, it wouldn't have mattered, because it went up there either way. But the sell order got filled in at 33.99. So let's try to buy back 2,500 more at 26.01. But not yet. We'll sell another one. 39.99. Token size still at 12,600. Continuing on further. Sell some more. 44.99. You place. Starting to buy at prices you never bought before, 3,600, and selling now at 6,000. But the market goes down, so we'll take that 3,600 buy, and then seller 44.99. So that's just at the previous high. Having a lot of sell orders coming in, but that's part of it. And here are a whole bunch at one time. Sold 1,600 at 44.49, 1,400 at 49.99, and 1,200 at 59.99. And a whole bunch of new orders I'd have to put in because I sold 3 times. I'm going to try to get them back. So I sold at 45, 5,000, and 6,000. Let's try to get it back at 45, 4,000, and 36. Plain and simple. Try to get a bit more. As I'm trying to turn 1,800 into 1,600, 16 into 14, 14 into 12. So 200 more on each buyback. That's how many more tokens I'd be buying back. And then you have to add some more sell orders because I don't have any more. So I'm going to put them in at 7,500 and 10,000. But the markets go down. And order filled at the 4,500 level. So let's put a sell order in. And another adjustment for the change, as I had a 74.99 sell order. Again, I just missed it again in this point here. So I'm adding a new one at 7,000, which is pretty much the same number. So just move it up a little bit. The 82.99 is that's that's something I would in the area that I would do. So then let's continue on further. Another buy order being filled at 4,000. Continuing on. Buy at 4,000. Let's sell this at 55, which is what happened, and put a new buy order in at 4,000. But it sells again. 7,000 it sells at. So try to buy it back at 5,000. And we did. 5,000 buyback. And look at that thing just boom, just plummeting. And that was a long duration to get there. It was a long, long period. It was days and weeks, over a couple of weeks anyway, before a trade happened in that long time frame. But you put a new sell order in for 6,500, and it hits. Close to 3 months in duration for time that I've overlapped thus far. So interesting of note. A new order to buy 1,600 at 5,000. But nope, she just shoots up again. Down to 7,400 tokens, starting with 11,000. There'll be some stats coming up soon. That's what it all comes down to, the statistics. But here would be a situation where, again, you sell a couple, so you want to have to sell two, let's buy two back. So after selling at 8,300, let's try to buy that back at 65. And after selling at 10,000, let's try to buy that back at 8,000. Out of sell orders again, so how about 12,500 and 15,000? As one example for how you would do it. And then, of course, it would go down. And then whatever type of adjustments you'd have to make, they go along the way. So at this stage, as it would be in the May, a few months into it, this is what the statistics would look like. 41,100 total buys, costing 1.04 Bitcoin almost. Your average buy cost in at 2,529 Satoshi. Sold 32,600 of them. Sold for the price of a little over 1.25 Bitcoin. An average sale price at 3,880 Satoshi. Giving a net gain of 0.22 Bitcoin, as well as the 8,500 tokens would all be free at this stage, worth about 2/3 of a Bitcoin. Thus, your total profits at this stage would be close to a Bitcoin, adding those two together. And the buy-in, well, you started with 1/4 of a Bitcoin on your first buy, and you bought a bit more, so you started with a little over half a Bitcoin, 2/3. And your profits, just by doing this simple buy low, sell high strategy, are pretty decent. Now, as we continue on further, this thing just keeps on scorching higher, comes back down, and I'm not going to do the same thing I did before about going through every single transaction, but we can see along up here, you'd be lower in tokens, and you'd be buying them all back into June, July, August, and into September. You'd be buying them all back so far. This thing hasn't ended its downtrend, but at the same point, everything you bought on the July lows, 10,000, 12,000, well, got up to 20,000. There were a few sell opportunities. Oh, buy it back here. Sell it in here if you're able to. But maybe you missed this. You might. You might very easily. And if you're selling a whole bunch and buying a whole bunch, well, you're going to sell some and buy some all along the way like that. And I'm not playing these exact numbers with this code, but I'm pretty much playing this exact strategy with many different tokens that are out there. So just to quickly summarize how the event would have arisen using the exact same strategy as we shown before, the statistics would probably have it around 11,000 tokens, what you started off at the first buy, with the net buys being in at around, gaining 5,700 buy, 8,300 sell, gaining what at this stage would be about 1.5 Bitcoin profit. And that's just simply buying low, selling high. And this is on a chart that hasn't really done the greatest, which is why I wanted. It's done okay, but it's a strategy. I think that as long if it's really, really, really choppy, up, down, that's the ideal thing. If it continuously just does all that type of stuff, it does great. But if it just keeps going straight up, then you'll sell. You're hardly ever going to buy back at all. Then you're just going to run out of tokens at some point. And if it keeps going down, you'll sell at a few peaks here and there, but your net value of your tokens keeps going lower and lower and lower. That's never good. And you're just never getting too many selling opportunities. So it's an ideal strategy to do with any type of market you think has got definitely good bullish future, but has a lot of beautiful up and down swings. This one I don't think has the greatest, but we can see just with an average chart, you can get some pretty decent profits just by playing the simple strategy of buying whatever you sold a lot cheaper than what you sold it for, and then selling what you buy a lot higher. If you're in a business where you're in a store where you're selling and buying products, you're gonna sell for a markup, a higher price. So you have to look at this the exact same way, I would think. Anyway, thank you for tuning in and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.